it hasn't really been shown that 6+ meals a day. And that was relieving, right? Even though I was willing to do that work. And in the same way, it's like, look, man, if there was some way where I could gain another 10 pounds of muscle, like even if it was double, like 2-day training, 7 days a week, I would do it because that would be the goal. But in a sense, it's like, okay, well, if I can't, then 3 days a week and, still trying when I'm in the gym, but, just kind of allocating time towards other things, there is a relief there, I guess, of like, well, things aren't going to like backpedal for the most part. We're just going to kind of stay here. And that even itself comes and goes. Like, you probably didn't see, but I worked with Steve Hall of Revive Stronger last year for about 6 months. And it was like, okay, well, let's try again. Let's try something a little bit different, 5 days a week, more meals, all these things, surplus. It didn't net anything. So I was like, all right. But so it's not like I've given up, but it's more just like, all right, if something happens, amazing. If I get a little PR here and there, amazing. But there's less stress about it. There's less like, I need to gain this much in this time period.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's got to be, yeah. I mean, I can only imagine it's bittersweet. I mean, I personally, that's something I haven't experienced yet. Like, I don't know. I could be 5 pounds away from my muscular potential. I could be 20 pounds away. Maybe I never even reach that potential. I just slowly gain until old age gets the best of me. But it's definitely an interesting topic because it's so rare to see, I guess, somebody like you that actually like tries every method and makes factual decisions about your training and records everything and does it for such a crazy long period of time. Like, most people just I guess they give up, or maybe they try a new method and like hope and kind of convince themselves that they're making progress. But I know one thing I respect a lot about what I saw from what I think it was your video about working with Steve Hall, and I think you were saying that people want to assume that they're building muscle, but they don't actually like measure anything, and they like trick themselves into think they're making progress when they're really not. And yeah, I think I respect that a ton. Like what you were talking about there. It's just, yeah, it's an interesting concept, and it's made me realize how important it really is to measure your progress. And I think that's something that, as I've gotten older and maybe gone through certain training plateaus, to like say, hey, I'm not just going to measure strength, but I'm going to do my muscle measurements, track my body weight, take progress photos. Like, it's all important to get like an actual assessment on how your progress is going.
Yeah, like I said, I had Alpha Destiny and Jeffrey Very Schofield on last, I guess it was 2 days ago now. And that was one of the things we talked about, because I really like that they take these measurements and they take pictures and they measure their strength. And to me, it's like, why wouldn't you want to know that unless you're purposefully being somewhat delusional? And it's not like, I'm not trying to hate on the people who don't do those things, but I think it's almost a cop out to say, well, it just matters how I look on stage. It's like, well, if you want to get into that, it also matters on other intangibles like who shows up, right? And like, how good was your tan? I mean, I guess if you want to call improving your tan progress, you can, but like, to me, that's not progress. It's like, have you gained more muscle at the same body fat, or are you leaner at the same weight, et cetera? So I think it's, I don't want to like hate on it either, because I can understand from a motivational standpoint, if you can kind of trick yourself into believing you're progressing, I guess that's fine too. And I would be curious how you think about this. But to me, some people will think maintenance is easier, and I would say physiologically it's easier, right? Like, it's much easier. Of course, you can do fewer days per week, whatever. But mentally, I would imagine you have to relate to this. It's like, I would rather do twice as much work but see progress than be able to do less work but not go anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if progress is even on the table, I would, because maintenance mentally is very hard. I don't know if you've ever had any purposeful periods of maintenance, or if it's just happened unintentionally, but maybe you can speak on that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you hit the nail on the head with that. It's basically the same way I see it, where it's like, bodybuilding ultimately comes down to, I think your success in bodybuilding comes down to priorities, and where does bodybuilding fall on your list of priorities in life? When you're maintaining a certain skill, such as bodybuilding, that's going to be so difficult, because there's no way maintaining your physique twice a week in the gym is going to be like number 2 on your priority list in life. So when other things and other hobbies even start to overtake that, it's like, all right, well, you have 2 days a week to go to the gym, and you've recently been getting into X hobby. And then you're like, all right, well, I'm only lifting 2 days a week. It doesn't really matter. I'm already at my max physique. I can push that workout instead of Monday to Tuesday. And then these little things start to kind of make you justify like half-assing your workouts and skipping them, and where humans, and particularly in bodybuilding, we're so attracted to, I guess, the extremes, and to go to something that, like, I guess twice a week when you're maintaining your physique, like, is the extreme, because it's like you're doing the absolute least you can do to get the most that you can. It's almost hard for us to go from like all out high priority bodybuilding to like saying, all right, well, I'm just going to maintain and like still go really hard when I'm in the gym, but only do it for like 2 hours a week. So that it's kind of difficult to be in that like super low priority, but still train it like it's a high priority, and still treat it like it's a high priority. That's something that I struggled with back when I was trying to maintain, because I kind of thought I was at my limit when I was like 20 or 21. I tried to maintain, and that didn't end well. I took a few months off the gym, and then rethought some things.
Yeah, it's I think this is one of the issues that Gen Pop has. This is the issue like I even have with, let's say, like flexibility or something like that, where it's like I don't care to be more flexible or something like that. So, but I want to make sure I maintain it. So to say, hey, okay, this is just arbitrary, but just saying 30 minutes twice a week, you got to stretch. It's like, okay, but there's no goal there. Like I'd rather almost say I'm going to try to do a split or something, some goal where I have to do more work because I can see progress, whereas just maintaining. And I think for a lot of Gen Pop, when they start lifting, one of the biggest things I try to impart on people getting started with it is like, especially for a lot of women where they'll think, okay, I'm just going to go do this exercise and do this exercise. But it's like, if you could just pick like a squat or even hip thrust, whatever, and try to get stronger every week, you're going to have this goal and you're going to feel that progression versus you just go in, oh, I just have to do 3 days a week, 45 minutes on the Stairmaster. That's not that is a goal in that you're hitting that, but there's no progression there. And I think more people really need to implement some form of progression, whether it's strength, whatever, something they're progressing towards. That is literally like how our brains thrive on and have like dopamine impulses and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. I'd be super curious to get into that with you, because I think one of the foundations to my hypertrophy training philosophies is that we get too attached to strength standards and performance increases. And I think what we need to do instead is set measurement goals with our muscles. So like, say, I want to get to 18-inch arms, 17.5-inch arms or whatever. But if I'm just someone that, and this is what I guess kind of stalled my progress a little bit, is I don't know how much you've seen my content, but I personally got too caught up and too addicted to strength numbers and trying to progress that as much as I could, to where I started to sacrifice hypertrophy fundamentals. So I'd like turn my regular bench into a little bit more of a powerlifting style. And over time, I would what I would call artificial progressive overload. I would like widen up my grip, then